have two lovely ladies from Indivisible Southern Arizona. I'd like to introduce Norma Guest, and she's outreach for Indivisible Southern Arizona. And then we have Mary Evangelisti. Did I get it right?
That's great.
All right.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, and I have no idea what they're going to talk about because I gave them free rein to talk about whatever they wanted to tell us. So ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lenore.
Well, I guess I was asked to start, so I will try and do that for you. I wanted to actually start with how I became active. I was a poll worker, voter poll worker, for over 9 years, almost 10. And the very last one that I did was this last election of our dear President, Mr. Trump. I was absolutely devastated. You know, we cannot find out anything while we're doing this. We don't actually find out results until we get home. We can't look at papers, we can't use phones, we can't do anything. So I'm driving home in my car with my buddy, and we've got the radio on, and we're listening to the news, and we're kind of looking at each other saying, oh my God, this can't be real. Devastation, as probably all of you have felt. I thought about it and thought about it. What should I do? What can I do? I can't stick myself in a hole. I can't do that. So I decided that when he had his inauguration, that I was going to have a mock funeral. And that's what I did. And I invited about a dozen of my dear friends, and had no idea how this was going to shake out. Didn't know if it was we were all just going to be maudlin and crying or what. Well, what actually happened was that we were kind of feeding into each other's energies. And so some of us were looking for outlets. I in particular was looking for something that could get me energized and involved and active and try and do something. And some of my other friends did so as well. I was listening to Rachel Maddow, who I listen to every night, and she happened to be talking about Indivisible. And it's a group that was actually formed by congressional staffers. They kind of paid attention to what was going on with the Tea Party. And they kind of took the good and the bad and kind of combined what worked and put it into this little document called A Practical Guide Resisting the Trump Agenda. And this is basically what we do go by. And so I happened to come across a local Indivisible chapter in Tucson, and I went to their meeting, and then I went back again, and then I started joining their protests and demonstrations, and I really liked what I saw. The thing I think I like the most about I think all of Indivisible, but I can only speak for our organization, is that it is a very peaceful, thoughtful organization. The police know when we're doing things because we tell them. And sometimes I feel like they come out to protect us more than anything else, because they know we're not going to cause problems. We just want our voices heard. We want our message sent out to whomever will listen. And I find it's also focused. It's not kind of all over the place. We work mostly with federal issues and certain federal issues. We don't go into state issues and local issues. We can individually if we want to on our own, and a lot of us do. A lot of us have branched out to other organizations and other actions. But if we stay within the Indivisible, they pretty much follow this guideline. And it's important to us to stay very focused and very peaceful and very vocal. And that's pretty much what we do.
Perfect. And how did I get involved with Indivisible? Let's see. I've been involved with social justice movements for about 30 years, and I have. Oh, I've moved back. I have and strangely enough, this is kind of how I moved into it. In the summer of 2016, I have a whole group nationally that we all talk about different issues and things like that. And strangely enough, in the summer of 2016, we were all talking to one another, we realized that we were all completely overwhelmed, like doing every issue. So we actually got about like 20 of our friends together, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, you know, all kinds of different people, and we actually decided to take an issue each. So each one of us took our main issue, and so like a friend of mine who lives in Seattle does reproductive rights. I do gun control. Another friend in DC does environmental, so we don't have to constantly learn about everything, which is kind of why I'm interested in you guys, because you guys are doing the action groups and the legislative groups, and we're moving into that. So that's just my pitch of why I want to be more involved with you guys. I know that some of a4a is involved with us. We're having a great time intermingling with each other. So strangely enough, I didn't know why we were doing this, honestly. It was just a group of friends doing this, but then when I woke up the next day after the election on, I guess it was November 8th, I kind of realized exactly why my friends and I were doing it. Because we were getting ready for this. And I think all of us were kind of getting ready for this in a certain way, maybe if we didn't even know about it. So I really like Indivisible because it's nonpartisan. I think a lot of us who, I hope I can say this in this group, I've always been a Democrat. Ever since I voted, I've been a Democrat. But I really was a bit shaken by the last set of elections that happened, and I needed a group that was a little bit more bipartisan. I will always be a Democrat. I have great hope for our party, but I needed a group that was more bipartisan, so that's why I went to Indivisible. Like Norma says, what I really like about Indivisible is that that we really stay focused. We stay focused on the federal. We stay focused in the activities we do together. But at the same time, we're creating all kinds of different communities among ourselves. So, for example, some of us get more interested in reproductive rights. Some of us get more interested in environmental rights. So, even though we stay focused on the federal level as a official group, there's tons of activity going on all different levels with us personally. I want to say a special couple sentences about the book club. So we started the Indivisible Southern Arizona book club in March. Our first book was Hillbilly Elegy. Has anybody read it? And strangely enough, we put a call out to meet, and there were like 17 people that showed up. We did Dark Money the next month. I don't know if anybody's read Dark Money by Jane Mayer. If you haven't, you definitely should. Take a lot of antidepressants before you do it. And we were all kind of like, oh my God, who's gonna read this book? It's so long. We had 25 people at our discussion. So I want to really encourage any of you that might see that what I think we're building in the book club is the intellectual framework for our movement. We get to engage in, like Norma says, we get to engage in our Monday meetings, which you are all invited to. Every Monday we meet at 7 o'clock at Christ Church. And you're invited to that. We have many actions. We have an action on Saturday at McSally's at 9 a.m. to call for her to make a clean DACA bill. You are obviously invited. That's how Lenore and I met, at McSally's. But I want to say a special call out to the ISA book group that meets once a month. And we just keep ramping up every month. This month we're reading the Lakoff book, Don't Think of an Elephant. And we're getting so precise with the book club that we're actually doing pre-work before we even get there. So by the time we get there, we're actually comparing notes with one another. So last month, we read the Flake book. Did anybody read the Flake book?
No.
Oh, so there you go. So we read the Flake book, and we actually all wrote individual letters, and we're combining them and hand delivering them to him. So what started out as just kind of a group to kind of get together and talk in a different rhythm has turned into like almost a strategy group. So we encourage any of you who want to go to that and come and be part of our book group. It would be October 4th at 6 p.m. at Bentley's House and Tea, and that is on Speedway, and you are very welcome to come and join that group. And we are also at a point now where we're picking books like 2 or 3 months ahead, because everyone's so engaged and so excited. So On Tyranny is right after that, so if you're interested in that, you might want to come to the next one. But I think in closing, I want to say that what Indivisible has shown me is that I don't have to be anxiety ridden by myself.
Yep.
I can take action. I can work in communities, some of them micro communities, some of them larger than micro communities. I believe in the Buckminster Fuller quote that this is the time for us to make a completely different system.
Absolutely.
And we can make a completely different system where we support one another. And then we move from that. And I think that we're doing that in Southern Arizona Indivisible. And I think that it's very important for us to have an intellectual underpinning for what's gonna go on for the rest of our lives, for sure. And that this is a long, ongoing process, and we can do individual things that create action, but that we're all in it for the long haul, and we're gonna take many different paths in that long haul.
I'd like to add one thing too, and I can't remember, somebody talked about, the words of Kristen,
Yes.
Randolph.
Oh, yes, we should.
And we've been having a 3-part, we've had 1 part, we've got 2 more coming, meeting sessions where the group is coming down off the ceiling and voicing concerns and feelings and just kind of gathering as a group and just kind of hugging each other.
Yeah.
And refreshing each other. And I don't know of any other group that's ever done that, but it is very meaningful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had, I would say
We had
the first of the
and we
3
have 2.
was this Monday, and we did an extremely long meditation, especially for people that don't meditate, almost 20 minutes.
We meditate before every meeting.
And we meditate before every meeting. And we also did a Quaker style meeting. I would say that was an easy way to describe that.
Yes.
Where we only spoke when we wanted to. And we have seen that what has happened is we have great unity in ISA, but right after Charlottesville, everyone kind of lost their mind in one way or another. And people are intensely emotional about this, and we didn't really know quite what to do with ourselves or each other. So that's why we're going through this 3 meeting process, and it's been really, I'm gonna be all sappy. It's been really beautiful, and
Yeah,
next
it
week
is.
we're going through
Very refreshing.
some training on allyship and advocacy. And so we're really doing, what I really love about this group is not only are we completely active and going out and doing everything, but we also take care of the internal structure of our
And we take
group.
care of each other.
And we take care of each other. Yes.
Where are those? Where are those?
They are, these groups, these 3 meetings, every Monday, we have a planning meeting that is at the Christ Congressional Church on
It's on,
Craycroft.
Craycroft and Broadway. It's right by the, what's that store? Steinmart's?
Steinmart, yes.
It's next door to Steinmart.
And we also have 3 different places you can join on Facebook as well, if you have any interest in that. So you would just look up Indivisible Southern Arizona. There's a community page, there's a public page, there's our internal page. And so if you work through Facebook, we have quite a Facebook presence.
We love being with you. We hope you